taking entry um in the message to the black man. And this is gonna be one of my very important messages because this is a very important situation that we have taking place in our community. Um a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of issues in the black community. Um and a lot of those issues, high 80%, 90% of it can be fixed by the black man himself. He don't need help from anybody else outside of his race, besides his black woman, confounding and coming with him, coming together with him against instead of going against him, and us coming together with our black women, raising our children, stop spreading our seed all over without no intention of being a father and being present in that child's life. And even if we are having a plan on being present in that child's life, one of the most important things is that we reproduce. We gotta handle ourselves like kings, right? We have to handle ourselves like kings because a lot of black people, they love to throw that king and queen term around as if it's just something that can just be done there with a king and a queen. You need to do your research on kings and queens, and just even if you don't do your research, anytime you see a king or a queen, the way they carry themselves is like royalty. A king don't just spread his seed around. He might have a lot of women, he might mess with a lot of women, but which is I don't recommend. But if you is gonna be out here messing with multiple women, having sex with multiple women, you need to be handling your business, strapping up, pulling out, doing whatever you need to do. That you don't just be spreading your seed any and everywhere. Because as a man, I know back in the days I used to do that, and a lot of times the women that I was sleeping with, I didn't want to have no child with them. They wasn't mother material, right? And this is a huge issue in our community. Like I say, a lot of our issues, a lot, almost all could be avoided in our community by us ourselves. Read y'all some statistics to y'all right fast. 71% of children that come from fatherless home are high school dropouts. 85% of all prisoners are from fatherless homes. 90% of all runaways and homeless people are from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists and people with anger issues are from fatherless homes. 85% of children with behavior disorders are from fatherless homes. 70 something percent, 77%, but I say 70 something because it could have went up or it could have went down. But this is from last year's statistics. 77% of black children are being raised without a father. I'm not talking about this. You'll see a lot of times, you'll see on the social media for Father's Day or for something at school, the dads I'm talking about raised in the home every day with their father and mother, getting the energy daily that they need from their mother and getting the energy daily that they need from their father, which is needed for a child, especially in his formative years. Because if the wrong energy going into him, he not gonna be what he's supposed to be. Not saying he won't be successful, but he not gonna be what he's supposed to be. And just that right alone, fathers being in the home with their children, which would mean what? They reproducing with women that they actually want to be with. They actually want a future with. They actually want to settle down and marry, and not just spreading their seed everywhere. Just that alone, black love, bringing black women and men together in marriage, that right there could kill almost all the issues that go on in the black community. But what I want to speak to the black man today is be careful who you reproduce with. Be very, 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 I repeat, be very, I have to stress this to the hundredth power. Be very, very careful who you produce with, who you skeet in, who you put your seed in. I deal with brothers all the time, man, and they going through all kind of mental issues, financial issues, and even being incarcerated from inseminating, procreating with the wrong woman. They got some evil women out here. They got some bitter women out here. Once again, this is not a channel to bash anybody, but I will rectify the truth. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. Not nobody told me. Oh, I've seen these women use these children as pawns to get back at the father. All kind of mental gymnastics, all kind of game they play. I've seen it, and sometimes, a lot of time, more often time than not, the man will just get sick and tired of that. And what he would do is he would retreat. He would fall back and say, you know what, I'm gonna just wait till my son get old enough for him to be able to come see me on his own. Because dealing with her just to see my kids is hell on the cross. It's hell on the cross. These women make these men go through all kind of stuff. They don't want him with another woman. They expect him to be single, telling him, oh, I don't want my child around that woman. But you want the man to be single? And even when the courts get involved and they get visits and all that, the women make it a hard. And like I said, I'm not saying all women to whom this may concern, because I know some good baby mamas too. I want to be clear, but more often than not, I'm speaking about the majority. I'm speaking on the rule. I ain't speaking on the exception, because in our community, it's an exception when you have a black woman who is no longer with the father and she conductively, professionally having co-parenting with him. But with most of the situations, especially if it was a situation where the situation didn't work out to the point where he in a relationship with her, or they was in a relationship and he cheated, anything of that nature, the woman used the children as a pawn. And like I said, I know a lot of men who going through mental illness behind that. I know men who've been put in prison behind that. We see, you know, I don't know nobody personally, but I've seen things get fatal behind that. I had one client, and he was kind of upset. He wasn't really, to him it wasn't that huge deal, but it did affect him. And for me, I would have kind of been over the top. I would have kind of went completely off. I had a client, and he was married to this woman. Things didn't work out. They got a divorce. Of course, in the society that we live in today, majority of the time, not all, but majority of the times, the woman get to keep the children. So this young man, this brother, got two young men with this young lady. And these kids are, I believe, 8 and 10. They still in their formative years. This woman takes these two boys to a same-sex wedding. Two men was getting married, and she took these two young, innocent little boys to a same-sex wedding. When all she could have did, if that's what you want to do, you could go to whatever wedding you want to go to, ma'am. But taking your children there, when you could have reached out to your husband, because this brother is a great father. He's a good man. He's not no street guy. He keep him a job. He worked for himself. He got his own business. He keeps something going. He's an entrepreneur type of guy. And, he was kind of affected by this. But when he told it to me, I was more upset than him, because she could have clearly said, look, can you watch the kid for this weekend? I'm taking the children. I'm going to, a wedding. She didn't have to get enough business. But she took these children to this same-sex wedding while these children is still in their formative years. And these children, even though they young, and I'm sure they daddy teaching them, like I say, it's a good brother, I'm sure he teaching them right from wrong. But just taking them to that, you don't know what that did to their mental health. You don't know how that's going to have a lasting effect. God say the same, it don't. But you don't know how they going to have a lasting effect on those young men for the future. These are the things that, not all, but a lot of these black women do that are pure evil. That was evil for her to do that. Because, see, a lot of these black women today, they're in a fallen state. And once again, a lot of our women don't understand who they are. And so they sell themselves cheap. They demoralize themselves for likes. They demoralize themselves for the bag, and they just some wild people. So a lot of them you'll see, and I know a lot of brothers gonna be able to affirm this. A lot of these black women today, they love the homosexual. For some odd reason, I don't know if it's because the homosexual is somebody who they can, kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. I've dated several women, and I want to say I did this in the past because as of today that would never happen. I wouldn't tolerate it. But I've dated several women in the past, and they quote unquote bestie was a homosexual. These homosexuals usually know how to do hair, makeup, and it's kind of like a boy and girl that they get to hang out with. But at the end of the day, my mindset is my mind. I got a belief like this: that man, I don't care how feminine he is or how gay he so say he is, he got a penis. And fellas, you gotta watch who your lady friends is. Even the female one, but especially you don't want your lady hanging around the homosexual. And if you do, and that's cool with you, that's on you, brother. But I do not recommend it, especially if you got children. Because these black women, most of them, they don't think, well, I'm not going to say most of them, but a lot of these black women, they don't think nothing wrong with homosexuality. The majority of black women today are super liberal. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they from. They don't know nothing about nothing. All they do is listen to what they see on TV, the internet. They are super liberal. So this homosexual thing is okay to them. It's not a big deal to them. It's not a big deal to them. They all about loving and accepting everybody. That's what they all about. This is why you shouldn't have your children with the wrong woman, because it's gonna hurt your child in the long run. And don't get it twisted. If she evil and she playing mental gymnastics with you over your children, the Most High gonna pay her. She gonna somehow, some way, whether it be through something happen with that child. I've seen it with my own eyes. One thing about it, God don't like ugly, and whatever energy you put out will return to you. And if it don't return to you, it will return to your seed. So these women who do that, they got a payment that's gonna come to them. Don't get it twisted, brothers. But still in all, you have to be careful who you reproduce. Because see these women that's on social media twerking, these women that's on Twitter and OnlyFans naked, I could just imagine if they fathers was to see this. I can just imagine that, I just got on Twitter recently, and I didn't know that Twitter was like a pornography site. Some of these women on Twitter is sucking penis and having sex, and I didn't know Twitter was like that. I'm thinking Twitter more of like a social media site like Facebook and Instagram, but no sir. And I'm seeing this on there, and I'm saying to myself, this is not, nobody don't gotta pay to get on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can get on there. And these children, some of these little girls in their 20s, they're young, they're in college. I could just imagine seeing my daughter half naked or having sex, oral sex, regular sex, any kind of nakedness or X-rated material coming from my daughter. It would break my heart. It would break my heart. It would send me to a point where I wouldn't want to be mentally. Right? And so I could just imagine the situation that when dudes run up and see these things, and not to mention the internet is forever. When these children grow up and see this, like they had one lady I know, I seen her on Instagram, and she's a famous porn star. I'm not gonna say her name, and she one of the big time ones. And she got a little daughter, and her daughter looks like a daughter about 11 or 12. And these days the daughter knows what she got going on. And I just don't understand, how could you be a mother and be okay with doing the stuff that you do, knowing you got children, but most of these black women do not care. It's all about the bag, and they will demoralize themselves. And sometimes it ain't even for a bag, just for attention and like, they will demoralize themselves. Brothers, if these women, you run into these women, understand that these women are not to be inseminated. Because I don't care how fine she is, how big her butt is, how big her titties is. If she's one of those type of people that I just described, and I'm about to show you, it's going to hurt you in the long run and your child if you quote unquote inseminate them. It's going to affect you. mentally, spiritually, physically, and it can go other places too. It's not gonna be it's gonna be a lose-lose situation for you. But just picture, Ben, just picture having to watch one of your children be ruined by one of these women, because you know what they do. You know what they do. Man, when I was in my fallen state, man, back in the days, man, coming up, man, we would go to these women's house, and I don't even want to tell the stories, bro. Kids in there, kids just complete. I'm talking about. Listen, you don't want to make that mistake. And then the worst thing about it is, you knowing what's going on around your children, you gotta pay child support, because some of them put you on child support. So now you gotta pay child support. You know your child not being taken care of. You know anything liable to be going around, or anything liable to be going on around your child, and all you could do is just sit back and not do nothing. Because the majority of the time, unless you got some airtight evidence, the court is gonna side with the mother. And so now here it is. You got all this going on. You know this woman a thot. You know how she is because you did it around her with her other kids. So now she got a kid for you. Maybe your first kid, second kid. However, majority of the time than not, men love their children. A lot of time they don't love the women, but men love their children, and women know that, and they use that against them. And now you gotta watch and know what's going on in this household with another man or whatever the situation may be. There's nothing you can do, and you better pay child support or you going to jail. You know how it's affecting brothers today. That's why you see so many brothers snapping. I'm not justifying this wrong, but this is why you see so many black women being killed by black men all of a sudden. You seen a spike in that the last couple of years. That never was going on like that. Other races, but not black. But in the last couple of years, there's been a spike in murder, suicides, and black men murdering black women. Because these black women listening to this music that's telling them, hey, F a nigga, do your thing. If he cheat, you cheat. Which is always bad. Always bad. You got one of those women, fellas, that she feel like she can do what you do, and she feel like men equal to women, and women equal to men, and if you mess with buku women, she can mess with buku men, and if you cheat, she cheat. Stay away from one of those women, brother, sister. Stay away from those sisters, brother. Because what'll happen is, most of the time, men with us having pride, we can't take it when women cheat on us, and I don't suggest you cheat on your woman, fellas. You got a woman and she a good woman and you love her, don't cheat on her. I know it can be easier said than done, but do the best you can. But what I'm saying is, if she one of those type of women, don't get involved, fellas. Because what'll end up happening is, she'll play that mental gymnastic game with you, and you'll catch up cheating, and you end up hurting her or killing her. We've seen it happening a lot of time. And also playing with a man's children. Once again, most of these brothers love their children. And so I'm gonna let y'all see this video that I ran into that made me want to even make this video, to show how demoralized the black woman is, that to see how demoralized most black women are, because they are being taught by the social media. They're being taught. A lot of them didn't have fathers. If you want to be all the way honest of it, a lot of them didn't have fathers. And so they think that they can raise these children on their own. You're him sometime. I'm the mom and daddy. No, you're not, ma'am. You can't be a father to a son. After a child get about 10 years old, girl or boy, well, maybe a girl, but after 10 years old, nothing a woman can teach a young man. But I seen this video on Instagram, and I'm going to let y'all view it, and I'm going to come back with commentary. Now, brothers, as you can see, and you can go look this up, what I'm about to say. I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to have to go check it out. I think it was last year. And they had these women who went to their daughter's high school. Their daughter's high school. their son's high school. They went to the dark, because you know these days they got high school kids in their early 30s. And in their early 30s, they still trying to be in their 20s, right? 30 to new 20s, they say, right? They had these women go to their children high school, and I'm talking about twerk on a handstand in the gym in front of all of the other kids. How embarrassing. I'm talking about, listen, man. You know, I came up, man. Listen, I would have been so embarrassed. My mama probably would have had to call the police on me for me to want to go back to school that next day. But them and their daughters, and some of them didn't have daughters, had son, they twerking in the gym. I think it was for a pep rally. And in this situation here, you got Tyler. This is a toddler birthday party, because you can see on the wall it says the little LOL surprise. That's for Tyler, because I had some little kids I used to buy that for, that I was mentoring. This is for children, Tyler's under 8 years old, right? This is a birthday party. As you've seen, it's Tyler's all around. This is a Tyler birthday party. We know that in the black community, a toddler birthday party is a turn up. It's losing liquor, alcohol, and marijuana at these events, which is it shouldn't be, but that's a turn up for them. Anything, most women, not all, but most women are like children. They're oversized, they're adult-sized children, and so a birthday party for them is just like another day to celebrate, another day to turn up. So they be just excited, if not more excited about the birthday party than the children, especially in our community. Now you got this woman who clearly has a child sitting on side of her. Not to mention they got other little girls all around them. This little girls in their formative years, right? And they seeing these grown women twerk and hit splits. The mascot that they paid is twerking and hitting a split. These women is hitting splits and twerking in front of these kids. You see it all the time. I mean, it's not nothing new. These women twerking on social media in front of their little children. I've been around some of these women, and I'm riding the car with them. Cardi B, the City Girls, any one of these female strappers, these stripper rappers, rapping about the foolishness that they rap about, and these little girls in the back seat, 7, 8, 9 years old, rapping this slid word for word. But as you know, if you go on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, there's a video of Cardi B playing her song WAP. You can look it up, what I'm saying. There's a video of Cardi B playing her song WAP, right? And guess what? When her daughter walked in, she hurry up and cover her daughter's ears and turn the music off. And I was telling people, I say it's crazy how black women will allow their children to listen to this X-rated music and sing it word for word and say it's cute. But the person who made the song don't even want their daughter listening to it, because they know that this is not children's music, and they know that if these children see whatever a child see in their formative years, which is the ages of 2 and 10, this is their serious year. This is who they forming. This is who they character. This is who they gonna be. And of course, life gonna happen, and they gonna mature. But in those years, that's who your child is gonna be. If you let them be lazy, that's who they gonna be. You let them overeat, that's who they gonna be. You let them listen to rap and twerk music, guess what? You breed, you recruiting, you a little thought in the future. I mean, it is what it is. This is a Pro2 channel. If you don't like it, I mean, I'm sorry. But this message I wanted to just put out to my black king, man. Be careful who you inseminate, man. Be careful who you inseminate, because if you don't, it's gonna affect your mental health, your physical health, your finance, and even have you put in prison. Because guess what? Mental health is not taken serious today. And they got people who mentally ill for all kind of different reasons. And their children is one of them. Women playing with their children is one of them. Women playing with men heart is one of them. Fellas, once again, and I'm in this video on this. You think it's all fine and games when you're in that warm. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. It's all fine and games. There's really a lot, and really, this for any of my brothers, but for sure my young brothers who don't, because I don't have children, but most people my age have children, and they either didn't deal with the growing pains of it, and they dealing with it, or whatever the situation is with them. But for my young brothers, especially, who don't have children, that might not have a father to tell them this, and a lot of these women, especially these black women, they don't really have nothing for theirs. Not all of them, because they have some of them. It's always an exception, but majority of these black women don't really have nothing, nothing of intel to pass down to the children. They don't. They look up to rappers and influencers and women on Love and Hip Hop, so they don't have nothing to teach the children of any benefit. And a lot of these children don't have their fathers to get them that structure and that discipline to have these type of conversations. So that's what I'm here for. And also, another thing, you might have a baby mama who not doing all that, but she's just one of those women who's just completely out of control. She down with the culture, and now she can control you because you love your children. She can control you and handle you any kind of way she want to handle you. In some situations, disrespect your family, and you can't do nothing because she got the almighty power to take you away from your children. And I see this happening. I got clients who this happening to. They going through all kind of mental health because they in a relationship just to be there for their children. Good men, great men, and these women is completely taking advantage over that. I was talking to one client, and he said the woman cursed his baby mama cursed his mom out. And I was like, man, I don't know how I would have handled it. He said, man, if he said I don't know how, if I react how I want to react. He said I don't know how she gonna play that, and he said I can't make it without my children, and that hurt me, fellas. Listen to me. Them women that you see twerking on social media, these women that you see doing the thing that they doing, understand that they have a father out there that's very hurt and embarrassed if they know about it. And we don't know if he was a good father, a deadbeat, or he was a man who said, you know what, I just can't keep dealing with this woman. I'll wait till my child turn 18. And by the time she turned 18, she was for the streets. No pun intended. No disrespect. Fellas, be careful. Be careful. It's not easy, man. It's not easy going with custody of your children. Be careful who you inseminate, brothers. Be careful who you inseminate, brothers. Be careful who you inseminate, brothers, or you will be a slave for the rest of your life, financially, or for 18 years at least. Your mental health, your physical health, your whole life will be out of whack when you love your children and you can't do nothing about them being destroyed because they being raised by a destroyer, a degenerate. Be careful, fellas. Be careful. Y'all be blessed. Thank you for listening.